8 by 10 timber frame storage shed plans. Timber framing is a traditional style of building that uses a simple framework of heavy timber posts and beams connected with hand-carved joints. From the outside, a timber frame building looks like a standard stick frame structure, but on the inside, the stout, rough-sawn framing members evoke the look and feel of an 18th century workshop. This 8 by 10 foot shed has the same basic design used in traditional timber frame structures, but with joints that are easy to make. In addition to the framing, some notable features of this shed are its simplicity and proportions. It's a nicely symmetrical building with full-height walls and an attractively steep-pitched roof, something you seldom find on manufactured kit sheds. The clean styling gives it a traditional, rustic look, but also makes the shed ideal for adding custom details. Install a skylight or windows to brighten the interior, or perhaps cut a crescent moon into the door in the style of old-fashioned backyard privies. The materials for this project were carefully chosen to enhance the traditional styling. The 1x8 tongue-and-groove siding and all exterior trim boards are made from rough-sawn cedar, giving the shed a natural, rustic quality. The door is hand-built from rough cedar boards and includes exposed Z-bracing, a classic outbuilding detail. As shown here, the roof frame is made with standard 2x4s, but if you're willing to pay a little more to improve the appearance, you can use rough-cut 2x4s or 4x4s for the roof framing. Step 1. Prepare the foundation site with a 4-inch deep layer of compacted and leveled gravel. Cut 3 6x6 treated timber skids. Place the skids following the floor framing plan. Lay a straight 2x4 across the skids and test with a level. Step 2. Cut 2 2x6 rim joists and 9 joists. Assemble the floor frame with galvanized nails, as shown in the floor framing plan. Check the frame to make sure it is square by measuring the diagonals. Step 3. Install joist clip angles at each joist along the 2 outer skids with galvanized nails. Toenail each joist to the center skid. Step 4. Install the tongue-and-groove plywood floor sheathing, starting with a full sheet at one corner of the frame. The flooring should extend all the way to the outside edges of the floor frame. Step 5. To prepare the wall posts, cut 6 4x4 posts, making sure both ends are square. On the 4 corner posts, mark for 3.5-inch long by 1.5-inch deep notches on the 2 adjacent inside faces of each post. Start the notches 46.25 inch from the bottom ends of the posts. Step 6. Mark the door frame post for notches to receive a girt at 46.25 inch and for the door header at 82 inch. See front framing elevation. Remove the waste from the notch areas with a circular saw and clean up with a broadwood chisel. Test fit the notches to make sure the 4x4 girts will fit snugly. Step 7. Position the post bases so the post will be flush with the outsides of the shed floor. Install the bases with 16D galvanized common nails. The insides of the door posts should be 29-inch from the floor sides. Brace each post so it is perfectly plumb, and then fasten it to its base using the base manufacturer's recommended fasteners. Step 8. Cut 2 4x6 beams at 10 feet and 2 at 8 feet. Notch the ends of the beams for half-lap joints. Measure the width and depth of the beams and mark notches equal to the width half the depth. Orient the notches as shown in the framing elevations. Cut the notches with a handsaw, then test fit the joints, and make fine adjustments with a chisel. Step 9. Set an 8 feet beam onto the front wall posts and tack it in place with a 16D nail at each end. Tack the other 8 feet beam to the back posts. Then, position the 10 feet beams on top of the short beam ends, forming the half-lap joints. Measure the diagonals of the front wall frame to make sure it's square, and then anchor the beams with 2 60D galvanized nails at each corner. Step 10. Reinforce the beam connections with a metal post beam connector on the outside of each corner and on both sides of the door posts using the recommended fasteners. Install an L connector on the inside of the beam-to-beam joints. See the eave detail. Step 11. Cut 8 4x4 corner braces, mitering the ends at 45 degrees. Install the braces flush with the outsides of the beams and corner posts using 2 3/8 by 6-inch lag screws driven through counterbore pilot holes. Step 12. Measure between the posts at the notches, and cut the 4x4 girts to fit. To allow the girts to meet at the corner posts, make a 1.5 by 1.5 inch notch at both ends of the rear wall girts and the outside ends of the front wall girts. Install the girts with construction adhesive and 220D nails driven through the outsides of the posts. Cut and install the 4x4 door header in the same fashion. Step 13. Cut 2 pattern rafters using the rafter template. Test fit the patterns, and then cut the remaining 10 rafters. Cut the 2x6 ridge. Install the rafters and ridge using 24-inch on-center spacing. Cut 4 2x2s to extend from the roof peak to the rafter ends, and install them flush with the tops of the rafters. See the gable overhang detail. Add framing connectors at the rafter beam connections. Step 14. Cut 4 2x4 collar ties, mitering the tops of the ends at 45 degrees. Install the ties half an inch below the tops of the rafters, as shown in the framing elevations. Step 15. Install the 1x8 siding on the front and rear walls so it runs from the 2x2s down to 3/4 inch below the bottom of the floor frame. Fasten the siding with 8D corrosion-resistant finish nails or siding nails. Don't nail the siding to the door header in this step. Step 16. Cover the rafter ends along the eaves with 1x4 sub-fascia, flush with the tops of the rafters. See the eave detail. Install the 1x6 fascia and 1x2 trim at the gable ends, then along the eaves, mitering the corner joints. Keep the fascia and trim half an inch above the rafters so it will be flush with the roof sheathing. Step 17. Rip the plywood soffit panels to fit between the wall framing and the fascia and install them with 3D galvanized box nails. See the eave detail. Step 18. Deck the roof with half an inch plywood sheathing, starting at the bottom corners. Cover the sheathing with building paper, overhanging the 1x2 fascia trim by 3/4 inch. Install the cedar shingle roofing or asphalt shingles. Include roof vents, if desired. Finish the roof at the peak with a ridge cap. Step 19. Construct the door frame from 3/4 inch by 4¼ inch stock. Cut the head jamb at 37 3/4 inches and the side jambs at 81 inches. Fasten the head jamb over the ends of the side jambs with 2½ inch deck screws. Install the frame in the door opening using shims and 10D galvanized casing nails. Add 1x2 stops to the jambs 3/4 inch from the outside edges. Step 20. Build the door with 7 pieces of 1x6 siding cut at 80 3/4 inch. Fit the boards together, then mark and trim the outer pieces so the door is 36 inches wide. Install the 1x6 Z-bracing with adhesive and 1¼ inch wood screws, as shown in the door detail. Install flashing over the outside of the door, then add 1x3 trim around both sides of the door opening, as shown in the door jamb detail. Hang the door with 3 strap hinges.